All right, we got a special package from Polar Monkeys. Oh, this thing is a beast. Let's see what's inside. So this just showed up at my door. I wasn't sure what it was, but I just got some information on it. And this is apparently their newest chiller called the ChillX. Get a first look at it. The ChillX, ChillX, Chill 10, ChillX, ChillX. See what we got. Nice little wood, new instruction manual with all the information on it. Cool, cool, cool. Warnings, holy smokes. So what I do know is this thing is heavy. It was 78 pounds and it's just a chiller. Ooh, hoses inside, cool. Freaking beautiful though, holy smokes. It's made out of 316 marine grade stainless steel. We'll get into all that here in a second. Got some filters, got some components here. Oh, let all that out. Oh, get out of the way. Oh man, ooh. Very pretty. Don't recommend doing this. Oh. But let's take a look at this. That's pretty, but it's heavy. What's up, my friend? David Moss Jr. here, and in today's video, we're going to break down and review the brand new ChillX chiller by Polar Monkeys. Now, this is the most premiumly priced cold plunge chiller on the market that I have ever seen. Currently listed at $5,290. So we're gonna break down everything and review this chiller to help you determine if it's a cold plunge you should consider for yourself or not. Let's dig in. And hey, after today's video, if you do decide you want to get any of the Polar Monkeys options, I will have a link with a discount code down in the description below for you to check out. But do that after the video. Faster cooling and serious performance. This is the claims that Polar Monkey is making on their website. So we're going to put this thing to the test. But let's talk about all the specs first. So like I said, it is listed currently at $5,290. That is for just the chiller. That does not come with a tub or any cold plunge options. So if you do decide to go with their Brain Pod or their Cyber Barrel or their Cyber Plunge, and you can see all those details on their website later. But this video is primarily geared towards the chiller itself. This chiller is wrapped in a 316 marine grade stainless steel, which is really nice. It looks really good. I feel like that's gonna make it a little bit more robust. And on the appearance of it, one of the things that I really do like is that the control panel is on the side. It's no longer on the top. A lot of the chillers that have the control panels on the top, if you leave them outside in the elements, sometimes just the rain is enough to mess with your settings. So I like that it's here now. It is a physical button. You can actually hear all the buttons pressed. And one of the features about this that is also really cool, and we're gonna put it to the test, is it does have a one-touch ice feature. So you don't have to sit here and hit the down arrow a million times to set it down to ice. You can literally just hit ice and it'll turn on the ice generation for you, which is cool. This chiller can be set all the way down to 32 degrees Fahrenheit, which is 0 degrees, creating ice, floating ice in your cold plunge, which is really cool. And there's not a lot of chillers that do that. It can also heat your water up to 107 degrees, which is extremely hot. So if you want to turn your cold plunge into a hot plunge, you can do that with this one chiller. This little button up here is the Wi-Fi feature. You can connect this entire chiller to your phone so you can control everything from an app. And as you can see at the bottom here, there are 4 really nice wheels to make it portable and easy for you to move. Now let's talk about some more of the specs. This chiller weighs by itself without water inside it 78 pounds, which is a pretty heavy chiller, but it does make sense since the entire thing is wrapped in stainless steel. The measurements are 14 inches wide, 18.5 inches deep, and sits 23 inches from the ground to the top here. While I'm on this side, I do want to go ahead and pop this open. So this has a nice little screen on it to protect all the components. And this right here is actually considered a little bit of a filter to keep the air flowing into the chiller itself. Now there's this little grate that keeps us out of here so we don't mess with anything, but inside here is all the components that heat, that cool, that pump, and that sanitize. Inside here, there's also ozone. I'm a huge fan of ozone. I'm glad to say that this does have ozone, so it should do a really good job of keeping your water clean and sanitary. I'm gonna put the screen back on here because there's nothing else we need inside there right now. But it is cool that you have access here and you can see in there if something was to happen. We'll turn this bad boy around, look at the back side here. On the back side, this is your filter canister. So what you're gonna wanna do is unscrew this. You see there's nothing inside here. Inside this canister is where you're gonna take this 20 micron filter. Now there's plastic wrapped around your filter. You do want to take that plastic off. I seem to be like the little troubleshooter for everybody in the cold plunging world. So if you ever have a question, feel free to reach out to me on Instagram. I will try to respond to every message that I get. I get a lot of them, but I have had people actually say, hey, I can't get water to flow through my cold plunge chiller. What's going on? I always have people send me a video so I can see. And I actually have had a few people send me videos where the plastic is still in the filter. So take the plastic off, put it inside there. There's this little nub there at the bottom that will grab onto the bottom, and then you put it up here and screw the canister in. That is the filter that filters your water and keeps the water nice and clean. That is the 20 micron filter. Turn that nice and tight. On the back side here, this is an air release valve. So if there's ever air inside the lines and you want to release that, you're just going to unscrew that. It's called bleeding it. You're going to bleed the pump, let all the air flow out. And then once you have water flowing, you turn that back to the right and tighten that. Right here, the green is the outlet. That's where the water comes out of the chiller after it's been filtered, sanitized, and chilled or heated and goes back into your cold plunge of choice. At the bottom is the inlet. This is where the water will go in, but this isn't it. You're also going to take your pre-filter and you're going to screw your pre-filter right there onto the bottom. It doesn't really matter how you have your filter. You can have it to the side. You won't be able to have it up because you won't need access there. But you can have it however you need it, and it's also easy to rotate when you do want to take that out and clean that out. But your pre-filter will go on the inlet here, make sure that's nice and tight, and this will collect debris that comes from your cold plunge, usually from the bottom of your feet, your hair, stuff like that. It'll collect it here, preventing it from going through the line. Also helps cut back on how many times you have to change out your filter. So I like that. Not much has really changed on the backside here from their previous generation chiller, which is nice. It makes it very easy and user-friendly. You do have a nice long cord, and you do have a little GFI switch that you can unplug if you need to. Recommend always having that in there, and it will require about 15 amps, so make sure you have a dedicated line. This is a 1 horsepower chiller, so those do require a little extra power, but that also makes them more quiet and a little bit more efficient. This side is the fan. Exhaust fan helps pull airflow through, and you do have handles at the top. So that was the chiller. Now let's talk about what comes with this chiller. So it looks like we're gonna have 2 filters, one that we're gonna need to put in there immediately, and then we do have a replacement filter. So that should get us through a month or so of use, depending on how often you're using it. Inside here, this is interesting. This little neoprene sleeve is actually gonna go around the chiller canister to help cut back on condensation, which is a really cool touch. I'm glad it comes with that. And then this other little sleeve, oh, very cool. Another little neoprene sleeve, and that's gonna go on top of the pre-filter. Kind of the same thing, to help cut back on condensation. So we have 2 of those, a warning label, which we don't need. This is the user guide. So if you ever want any more information on troubleshooting, leaking, water temperature, cool testing, how to use it all, QR codes, very cool. Shows you how to install it to all the different cold plunges, and yeah, operation manual. We'll put that off to the side. Inside this bag, this is something you don't want to lose. This is actually, I don't know the name of it, but I call this the torque generator. So this is designed to help get you some torque to unscrew the filter canister when you are going to be changing your filter. Sometimes it's wet and it can be a little hard for you to unscrew with your hand, so don't lose that. We're gonna get some O-rings. This little interesting thing, I don't know what that's for, but we're gonna read our instruction manual and find out. A hose adapter, I'm sorry, 2 hose adapters. And then this is the famous pre-filter that will help to skim out any unwanted hair or debris that might find its way into your cold plunge. This is a game changer as far as keeping your chiller's pump and all the components inside your chiller safe. Definitely wanna make sure this is always clean. I like that it's clear. Now you do have this little neoprene sleeve that will go on top of it, just like that, and you can Velcro it just like that. That's gonna help cut down on condensation, which is great, but you won't be able to see the actual canister, and I like to be able to see it too, because if your water flow ever slows down a little bit, this is the first thing you want to check out. You just unscrew this very simply. There's this little mesh piece that you're actually going to pull out. This is what's going to catch all the hair, debris, grass, dirt, little things that might make its way into your hose and prevent it from going into your actual chiller. So this you'll take to your sink or a hose and you'll just spray it out. Inside there, you'll see where it kind of goes right back in. You push that on, then make sure you don't lose that O-ring inside there. Put this back on and screw it in. It's easy to do while it's attached to the chiller as well. You literally just unscrew it, pop that thing off, and it's very, very easy. The only thing to consider is when you do pop this off, water will more than likely go out all over your floor. So make sure that when you are doing this, that you either kink the hose or figure out a way that you can prevent water from going over your floor if you don't want water all over your floor when it comes time to change this out. Just a little warning. And right here, we'll grab our scissors. Oh, these are the hoses that are also coated with a little neoprene sleeve. That is a nice touch. That is a premium touch you don't see on all the other cold plunges. Very cool. So Basically the hoses are wrapped with this neoprene. That's gonna help cut back on condensation too. So I like that. That is something I haven't seen before. Great job. Now let's set this up. So I'm gonna connect this to my Cyber barrel, which I just took the old chiller off and drained. So I'm gonna take the lid off over here. Do love that it has an insulated lid. All right, so the first thing I'm gonna do is, I already put the filter in the back there. I'm gonna grab these awesome insulated hoses and I'm gonna make sure I have them lined up. I wanna have it wrap around this time. Set these where I want them. Cool thing about these hoses is there is one side that has like a nice little 90 degree and the other side goes straight in. I'm gonna have this side go into the chiller. I'm gonna have this nice little 90 degree go into the back of the cold plunge just to avoid having a bunch of wires everywhere, a bunch of hose everywhere, I mean. Then I'm gonna bring the chiller over here. It's gonna go into inlet. Just gonna get these in and then I'll figure out. All right, that one's in good. All right, that looks good to me. So we've got the chiller hooked up. Now I always recommend getting a hose filter. Must have, like this is something you absolutely need to get as a hose filter. I have links down in the description below to Amazon that you can order some of these, they're super cheap. Definitely get one of these. The cleaner the water is that you put in your cold plunge, the cleaner your water is going to stay. One hack with this though is make sure you don't start your hose with a brand new hose filter in your cold plunge because the first water that comes out of a new one of these is carbon filled and it is black. So you don't want to put that in your cold plunge. Let these run out in your yard for about 10-15 seconds and then when the water's coming out clear, then you can put it in your cold plunge. So I'm gonna fill this up for a little bit and then we're gonna start the chiller and actually demo this thing. This is what happens when you start it up. It will start purging the water. So I've loosened this up to purge the air. You can see water's coming out, which is good. So now we can actually tighten that. There we go. It takes about 2 minutes for it to start purging, which that's really cool that they put that. And now after this next go around, it should just roll. It just needs to fill up water in the whole line. There we go. There we go. Starting to cool the water. I'm gonna close that. It should start rolling. So now let's talk about the actual screen. It's very easy. This is your power button. If I wanted to turn it to ice, I'll just press this button one time and it automatically will set to ice. If I want to connect it to my phone, I'll hit this and start connecting it to my phone. And if I want to change the temperature, I can literally just hit these numbers all the way up to whatever temperature I want. I like 44, so I'm going to set it to 44 for now. And down here is your flow rate. See that says 23.1. That tells you how much water is flowing through this thing. And when that starts to go down, if that starts to go down, it tells you that you need to change out your filter. Here at the top, it tells me that ozone is on, O3, and then it is chilling. If I turn it to heat, that'll change because then it'll be heating. Super simple display. So while we have this filling up and the chiller is fully on right now, this is the loudest it's gonna get. I don't know if you can hear it in my microphone, but I do have one of these trusty little guys, and I've had a few people ask me in my future reviews when I'm reviewing chillers if I can do the decibel test, the sound level meter. So we're gonna turn this bad boy on, and right now, where I'm standing, pulling this 63, can you see that? 63 when I'm not talking. When I talk, it goes up to a 71. So this is right out here. Let's put it about a foot away from the chiller. Pulling a 65, I don't know if you can see that. A 65 while it's on full blast. Now obviously this is indoor and outdoor rated, this chiller is, so that's cool. You can put it indoors, you can put it outdoors, put it in a garage, put it in a gym, wherever. You gotta understand that it is a cold plunge, so having it indoors, no matter what you do, you're gonna end up with some water on the floor, because when you get out, it's like getting out of a bathtub. Water's most of the time gonna come with you, a little bit of it at least. So just keep that in mind whenever you're trying to figure out where you want any cold plunge. But if you wanted something that was quiet, anything under 65 decibels is pretty quiet. It's about as loud as a fart fan in the bathrooms. So it is a pretty quiet chiller. All right, so now we have our Cyber barrel full of water and everything is operating. It is 62 degrees. It has only been running for just about 30 minutes, which is really cool. The water came out of my hose at about 74 degrees today, and it's already at 62 degrees in about 30 minutes. That's pretty impressive. For how expensive this chiller is, you definitely want some of those features. You want it to be able to cool the water down really quick. You want it to be able to heat that water up really fast. You want it to be somewhat quiet. You want it to look good. And I think it's checking a lot of those boxes, which is really cool. Now, there are a lot of options on the market, and I've reviewed a ton of them. So if you want to see a lot of other options, make sure you check out the other videos in my cold plunge reviews playlist on my channel. But If you're interested in seeing more of the Polar Monkey options other than just the chiller, that's what this video primarily is reviewing the ChillX. There is a playlist on Polar Monkey options where I dive deeper into each product specifically, and I just did an overview video where I go over the entire selection of Polar Monkey cold plunge options. So I'll have that linked at the end of this video if you want to check that out and see some of the different tubs, because this video is basically the ChillX review. I do have it hooked up to my Cyber barrel, which I really do like this. I like the upright. I love the stainless steel. It gets a lot of positive attention when people come over, which is really cool. But I am going to wait until the water is ice. I want to see how fast it can turn into ice. I'm going to go get a quick workout while it's doing that. Actually, I probably should turn it on to ice. So let's press the button, because right now I have it set at 44. Boom, set it to ice by pressing the button one time, which is pretty cool. So right now it is going to cool it down to make ice, which is great. I'm going to throw the lid on here because it is insulated, and that will help keep the water cool and turn it into ice a little bit faster. And then we're gonna demo this thing for real. And hey, at this point of the video, if you have any questions or any comments, pop them down in the comment section below. I can promise you the founders of Polar Monkey will read every single comment. They might even reply. So if you have any questions that you wanna know from them, or if there's anything you wanna say, put it in the comments below. We'll read every single thing, and I think it's all helpful. Just be nice about it, okay? And if you haven't done so already, make sure you subscribe to the channel. I have a lot of content coming over the summer. I've got trips planned. I'm going to Paul Saladino's house, doing my first High Rocks race with my wife. I know I review a lot of products, and that's probably why you subscribe to my channel or watch this video, but I do have a life other than just reviewing products, and I'd love for you to be a part of that. So make sure you subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, and all that fun YouTubey stuff. All right, it's been about 4 hours since we've turned this on, and it isn't making any noise right now because it says ice on there, meaning it has created ice. Let's open this lid up and see. Moment of truth. Oh my gosh, it actually did. Look at this. Are you kidding me? That's ice. All right, so I have to be totally transparent. That's actually pretty impressive. The fact that it created ice out of 74-degree water in about 4 hours in the middle of Florida heat, that's impressive. That's definitely the fastest chiller that I've used. I figured overnight it could create ice. I had no idea it was gonna already be creating ice while the sun is still up today. That's super duper impressive. So great job, Polar Monkey. It tells me that the components that you have inside this chiller are top of the line. Now this video is pretty much just a review of the ChillX chiller itself, not the actual tub. Like I said, I will have a video pop up at the end of this video going over the different tub options with Polar Monkeys, but you can use this chiller with a tub of your choice. It comes with the hoses and everything you need to connect it into a tub if you already have a cold plunge and you just want a chiller that's this robust that can create ice and can also turn into a hot tub if that's something that you want. I do like that it's an indoor and outdoor rated chiller. I do like that it has ozone. I'm a huge fan of ozone. I like that it has a good pre-filter and a 20 micron filter. I don't necessarily love the price. I definitely think the price is up there as far as premium goes, but if they're building a premium chiller, then I guess they can demand a premium price. That's my opinion. I'm curious what your opinion is. Let me know in the comments below what you think about the ChillX chiller. Anything that you think, whether it's positive or negative, I'm curious to hear what your thoughts are. Make sure that you like, subscribe, share this with a friend if somebody's in the market looking for a very robust chiller for themselves, and leave a comment below. Hey, that's all for this video. I appreciate you guys so much for watching. I'll see you on the next videos. Have a great day, my friends, and God bless. And hey, like I said, that video is gonna pop up right here. That's gonna go through the entire lineup of cold plunges by Polar Monkeys. So check that out right there.